Hey everyone, thank you for subscribing to TejanoKeyboard.com's YouTube channel. And I want to thank all of you who are still watching the videos and commenting and sending me messages. I haven't uploaded anything in a while, primarily because I'm focusing more on some of the other aspects of my musical career and also my private students. There's a handful of students who are taking advantage of the private instructions as far as you know, the educational side of the theory stuff, and people who want tutorials and stuff like that. So I've been dedicating my time to those private students. But there's been a few people as of recently that have asked for accordion, keyboard accordion, or piano accordion tutorials. In particular, Rudy, a little while ago, sent me a message asking me if there was any more of the Rick Licks videos. And unfortunately, there's no more Rick Licks videos. I plan on maybe starting that back up, as well as starting up some new theory stuff for Tejano keyboard players. But I'm going to do a little bit different of a video today. Today, I'm going to talk about accordion from the perspective of a keyboard player. When I first started playing music, my first instrument was the piano accordion, and then that's what I switched over to keyboards. My dad played piano accordion. You know, he played a little bit, and then I kind of took from what he kind of taught me, and, you know, started studying and wondering, well, why does that sound like that? And I've digressed. But I became a keyboard player. But my whole life, I've always wanted to learn how to play button accordion. And I started jamming with the group from Lansing, Michigan, by the name of Tejano Sound Band. And Johnny Vasquez was a guy who, or is a guy, shout out to Johnny. I don't know if he's watching this or not, but I want to send a shout out to him, who just completely expanded my mind when it came to thinking like an accordionist, because anybody can figure something out on the keyboard by listening to another person, but it's not just getting the right notes. It's about getting the right feel. It's about getting the right sound. And that's why a lot of people, when they play piano accordion, or the stigma is that piano accordion is worse or not the same, or what have you, to the button accordion. There is some truth to that, because there are some things that you just can't do on a piano accordion that you can do on a button accordion. Some of those things you can do, but they're a little bit more difficult to accomplish. So we're going to cover a little bit about how to get that sound, and what makes a button accordion sound different from piano accordion. I'll have different examples. I have 3 different accordions here. First of all, well, let me start by picking up my button accordion. And like I said, I learned button accordion later on in life, and Johnny was the one that kind of taught me a lot of the tricks, you know, the stuff that makes it sound like an accordion. First things first, and with anything in music, I feel, right, this is my opinion, of my band director from high school. His name was Jory Holmes, and he taught me a hierarchy of musicianship, and that is tone, intonation, and technique. So what does that mean? First, you got to have a good sound. Then it's got to be in tune. And then you can worry about the technique, all the right notes, all the right, you know, playing fast, those sort of things. Those are not as important as, first of all, having a good sound, and secondly, it being in tune. So right here, what I have is something that I personally like, tuning wise on this accordion, and I'll explain why. Well, the reason is because it sounds good for Tejano music, I think, right? But this is what they call a dry tuning that has not as much vibrato. And I'm not going to get really into the technical aspect of how to tune or anything like that, but just know that one side is tuned to the standard 440, and then the other side will be plus or minus so many cents, or beats per minute or something like that. Not per minute, beats per second, or hertz, you know, something like one side will be 440, the other side will be plus whatever. But anyways, what happens is that when the two notes are vibrating sympathetically at different times, there'll be a moment in which they will be out of phase. And what you get is like a wahing effect. Okay, so a little, I hope not, it doesn't get too boring, but basically, like, as one's vibrating at one speed and the other one's vibrating at a slightly faster speed, you start hearing like that wave in there. And the further apart that those notes are, the faster that wave is going to be. Okay, so with this tuning, what they mean by dry is really slow. So here's a note. See, I'm moving my head to the beat of the vibrato. It's pretty slow, okay? When you compare that to something that's a little bit more wet, this is the same octave. You hear that? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. That's considered a wet tuning, or a wetter tuning. It's still dry by European standards, but it's wet for the kind of music that we play, okay? So when people see a piano accordion and they hear it like that, then they automatically assume, well, the piano accordion sounds different than the button accordion. But that's not necessarily true all the time. I've got another piano accordion here that I have dry tuned. Hasn't been tuned in a while, so it might be a little bit off, but it's a little bit faster than the other one, but not too much. Okay, so first of all, that's the sound. So if you can get somebody to tune your piano accordion like the dry sound that you're used to hearing with a button box, you're already one step closer to sounding like you're playing a button accordion. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, the other thing that you can't necessarily do on the piano accordion is get some of the in and out effects, because obviously on a piano accordion, in and out, they are the same, and with the button, they're different. Okay, so that changes things a little bit when you're trying to do trills, like, or not trills, but when you do a triplet shake. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but basically you're doing, you know, if you count a triplet as triplet, it's triplet, triplet, triplet. So the first part of the triplet is on, and then in is the full, and then et, it's on the way out, and then you lift up, and then you come back down. And then you get You get that effect, okay? And you probably heard that before. Okay, so when you do that on the piano accordion, it doesn't sound the same. So sometimes you have to kind of like if you build up the speed, you could probably get it to sound close. But what you'd have to do, because with the button accordion, when you go in and out, it'll change notes. So if you change notes, I can't do it, but there's some guys who can do it and make it sound, you know, like that. If not, what you start getting is like the chromatic sort of sound, like a chromatic accordion, you know. Okay, but that's something else. We'll come back to that. One of the other things that I think is really important to get that accordion, that button accordion sound on a piano accordion, is the trill. Because the trill is very important. Like I didn't really realize this until like I started really like listening to you know, more in depth of what accordion players are doing. So one form of triplet is where you do where you hit a note and then you trill up and then come back down. Okay, so you know, you can hear that sort of thing. You know. So just a little trill at the beginning. Okay, the other kind of triplet is where it's like where you're going up to the, so like if you're in G, it'd be 1, 2, 3. David Lee does that a lot. Excuse the sloppy playing. So that you get the little trill thing that I'm talking about. So that is a little bit difficult to do when you're doing the 2 notes and then tripling, doing the triplet up. That's a little bit hard to do on the piano accordion, but the other is not so hard to do. And I found out that really, as you're playing the piano accordion, if you just do the latter of the two, the second, this triplet, or not triplet, but that trill, that you can get away with playing that. So the way that you play that is that you would get the first note of the the chord that you're trying to play, and then you basically do the 1, 2, 3 up to it. Okay, you see how it's starting to sound like. Okay. So that's okay. That's what I'm doing. But when I land on the last note, I hit 2 notes together. Okay, and then so that's one thing too. The other thing is arpeggios. Okay, button accordion arpeggios on the way in, super easy. But on a piano accordion, just because of the way the layout, it's a little bit harder to do. So you have to get your positions good to be able to go. And I'm running out of keys. This is a small accordion. Oops. You know what I mean? that sort of thing. But an accordion, you just go up the row, and you can do it a lot faster because all the buttons are close together. On the piano accordion, you got to practice more to get that kind of speed. So those are the other things. Now, having a dry tuning isn't necessarily the right way or the best way to get that accordion sound that you're looking for. If you like a little bit wetter sound, you can do a few other things. Like, for example, David Lee plays a chromatic accordion. Also, he plays the 3-row diatonic, and then he plays the chromatic, which is like the 5-row. I don't know how to play that. I'd like to learn someday, but I haven't gotten around to actually getting one. So you can get the same sound because his chromatic accordions are tuned a little bit more wet than his diatonic ones. Okay, so you can get, by playing keyboard chords, you can get the. That sort of thing. Also, the wet tuning is good for playing. If you're gonna play like something Ramon Ayala. Let's see. Let's see. I haven't played this one. See how it sounds more wet. You get the idea, okay? But so wet tuning, you can get some different kinds of sounds. Me personally, I don't use that sound so much. I use this accordion more for the master switch to do like some norteño stuff, which is cool for doing more, you know, norteño or norteño light, whatever you want to call it. But hopefully that answered some questions for you guys in regards to how to apply some of the stuff that button diatonic accordion players do, and trying to play that on the piano accordion. I'll go over one more lick that is a little bit, it's not really difficult, it just takes some practice. But so like on a GCF in the key of G, sometimes they do stuff like that. Okay, so if you're gonna do something like that, those rolls, or you have to listen for all those little details, the little runs. So when you play them on the piano accordion, okay, and then this is where the fingering kind of helps out, like playing the keyboard in the right way, and it'd be like, oops, yeah, there we go. I'm messing it up, but some of those licks like that, that little, bad habit, I'm trying to play everything out like on a like on a button accordion. Okay, I think that covers the general idea of just trying to get the beginning of how to play button style accordion on a piano accordion, you know, especially if you're playing Tejano. So, yeah, hope that was helpful. Thanks a lot.